There was once a small boy who banged a drum all day and loved every moment of it. He would not be quiet, no matter what anyone else said or did. Various people who called themselves Sufis and other well-wishers were called in by neighbors and asked to do something about the child. The first so-called Sufi told the boy that he would, if he continued to make so much noise, perforate his eardrums. This reasoning was too advanced for the child, who was neither a scientist nor a scholar. The second told him that drum beating was a sacred activity and should be carried out only on special occasions. The third offered the neighbors plugs for their ears. The fourth gave the boy a book. The fifth gave the neighbors books that described a method of controlling anger through biofeedback. The sixth gave the boy meditation exercises to make him placid and explained that all reality was imagination. Like all placebos, each of these remedies worked for a short while, but none worked for very long. Eventually, a real Sufi came along. He looked at the situation, handed the boy a hammer and chisel, and said, I wonder what is inside the drum. This is one of my favorite Sufi tales that shows us what is the station of murāqabah is, watchfulness. Watchfulness, that the real Sufi sees what is needed, what is the tools to be used, and effectively hand it to the child. With the child here, you can say it's our dark mind, where it's drumming all the way or all the time with thoughts. And the Sufi hands us tools in order to look inside. And when you look inside, you realize you're not your thoughts, you're not your feelings, you're not your experiences. You are much more. You can't even define yourself. You're something so deep. You're something so mysterious. You are pure consciousness. You are the creator of thoughts. You are the receiver of the feelings, but you're not the feelings. You're not the past. You're not the present, the future. You're present. Though it is often said that human eye can be revealing about a person, Jakarta-based Indonesian artist Very Apreciatono, I hope I pronounce his name correctly, he has a series titled The Witnesses, reveals a lot more about a person's surrounding through the reflection of their eyes. So each hyper-realistic mixed media creation in the series, made with charcoal, pencil, and acrylic or canvas, presents an entire world within the gaze of a glistering eye. He's also able to believably simulate various scenes in the cornea of each expressive eye. Like tiny magic mirrors, the eyes reveal enough in their reflections without any words necessarily. This kind of art, where the whole scene is imprinted in this tiny cornea eye, is again shows us that keen watchfulness or observance of that which is conscious, that which sees. Allah says in His Holy Quran, He's with you wherever you are. So who is with you wherever you are? Is it your feeling? Is it your thoughts? Is it your worries? Or it is the one who is doing the acts of thinking and feeling and watching and acting and remembering. So Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein or spinal cord. And when you, for example, sleep, you lose your consciousness of the outer world in a vast realm, right? And you're almost is lost there, and then you're breathed into existence again during the rapid eye movement phase of sleep, which is the phase at which you dream. So these stories and art and this ayat to me capture the meaning of watchfulness, because it raises your awareness to realize that you are the watcher, you are the observer, and you're also being watched by Allah, by a higher consciousness that breathes consciousness into you, or a higher being that breathes consciousness into you. And Allah says, for indeed you are in our eyes or under our gaze. So you are under Allah watchful gaze. And when we realize that through a beautiful exercise that the Sufis give to their followers to repeat, Allah is seeing me, Allah is hearing me, Allah is with me, then you become aware that you're always watched, you're always observed, you're under Allah's gaze. And that's a beautiful feeling to have. And in doing so, you become an observer. You become an observer of your inner states. And you know how in meditations they tell you to sit and just observe your own thoughts, let it pass by, your own feeling, let it pass by, and until nothing exists and only you, the observer, is present in the moment. So I like to also share some thoughts by Shams Tabrizi, or some quotes by Shams Tabrizi, who was Rumi's teacher. He said, "There are more fake guides, teachers in the world than stars. The real guide is the one who makes you see your inner beauty, not the one who wants to be admired and followed." So again, this reminds me with the story of the boy and the drum. For the teacher wanted the boy to look inside and to witness his own self, his own beauty, rather than the outer and external world. The whole universe is summed up in the human being. Shams Tabrizi tells us, devil is not a monster waiting to trap us. He is a voice inside. Look for your devil in yourself, not in the others. Don't forget that the one who knows his devil knows his God. He also tells us, patient is not sitting and waiting. It is foreseeing. It is looking at the thorn and seeing rose, looking at the night and seeing the day. Lovers are patient and know that the moon needs time to become full. So here, foreseeing is, or envisioning, is a kind of watchfulness when you see by Allah's sight, or you see by Allah's light. So you envision and you see prophecies. So he also tells us this world is like a mountain. Your echo depends on you. If you scream good things, the world will give it back. If you scream bad things, the world will give it back. Even if someone says badly about you, speak well about him. Change your heart to change the world. And that requires watchfulness. What are you screaming into the world? What are you broadcasting to the world? Because its echo will come back to you. And then he tells us the past is an interpretation, the future is an illusion. The world does not move through time as if it were a straight line, proceeding from the past to the future. Instead, time moves through and within us in endless spirals. Eternity does not mean infinite time, but simply timelessness. If you want to experience eternal illumination, Shams Tabrizi tells us, put the past and the future out of your mind and remain within the present moment. He also says the universe is a complete, unique entity. Everything and everyone is bound together with some invisible strings. Don't break anyone's heart. Don't look down on weaker than you. One's sorrow at the other side of the world can make the entire world suffer. One's happiness can make the entire world smile. And one of his profound quotes is, you learn by reading, but understand by love. You learn by reading, but understand by love. That's very deep. He also tells us you can study God through everything and everyone in the universe, because Allah is not confined in a mosque, synagogue, or a church. But if you are still in need of knowing where exactly His abode is, there is only one place to look for Him, in the heart of a true lover. So in a Hadith Qudsi, when Jibril visited the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and the Prophet and asked the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, what is ihsan? What is excellence, benevolence, and goodness and beauty? So the Prophet ﷺ said, it is to worship Allah as though you see Him, and if you don't see Him, then indeed He sees you. And this again informs us of the level or the maqām of awareness or watchfulness and being observant. And it starts with Allah is seeing me, Allah is hearing me, Allah is with me. And it's refined final stage is to be observant, like that real Sufi in the Sufi tale. of what is needed, what is the effective tools to be used, and then to do it, to act upon that awareness. To be watchful of yourself, meaning to realize that you are the observer, you are the watcher, and everything else is what you're experiencing, is what you're seeing or hearing or experiencing, right? So it is said by some wise Sufi, whoever observes Allah in his thoughts, he protects him from the movement of his limbs. So when you become observant of Allah, then naturally your limbs will not move except in the way that is pleasing to Allah. Al-Junaid, the great Sufi, said, whoever achieves true observation or watchfulness fears the loss of a moment from his Lord like no other. And another wise Sufi said, hope incites one towards obedience, and fear keeps one away from disobedience. And observation or watchfulness leads one to the path of realities. And it is said observation is the vigilance of the heart to observe the truth with every thought and step. Observation is worshipping with his name, the observer, and his name, the preserver, like Al-Shaheed, Al-Hafiz, the all-knowing, Al-Alim, the all-hearing, Al-Sami', and the all-seeing, Al-Basir. So whoever comprehends these names and worships these names accordingly, observation will be achieved for him. That maqām will be achieved. And this is like a deep way. So these names, to realize these names and to become the embodiment and the servants of these names, the observer, Al-Shaheed, the preserver, Al-Hafiz, the all-knowing, Al-Alim, the all-hearing, Al-Sami', and the all-seeing, Al-Basir, then you can reach that maqām. You become the servant of the Shaheed, the servant of Al-Hafiz, the servant of Al-Sami' and Al-Basir.